Some of these are really out there, but I love the creativity. What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel and to another video. Today we are reading your Headcanons Part 3. This is going to be the third and final part of this particular one. I might make a new post at some point. If you did not get picked, don't worry, there will be more opportunity for your comments to get read on the channel later on in the series. The main reason why I'm doing this as the final part is because this post has gotten just so buried, it's hard for me to even find it myself, and I am going to be leaving for Japan in about a month, so I'm going to probably resurface a new series kind of like this after I get back. But in this video, I'm going to be picking some of your headcanons and theories. I'm going to read them, and I'm going to give my honest opinion on it. So if I do not agree with you, do not fear. This is all opinion-based. I am going to be very respectful about my disagreement with you because disagreements do happen in life and it makes the world go round. However, how we react to those disagreements are what causes issues. So I'm going to be super respectful about it. I just ask that you keep your response respectful as well in the comments. All right, we're going to dive right into reading today's comments. But before we do, a couple things that I need to go over. Number one, there are going to be manga spoilers in this video. I keep forgetting to say that verbally, so I feel bad if people just listen to this and don't see when I add the text that says that there's manga spoilers ahead. There will be manga spoilers in this video. I think every single one of these I will talk about manga spoilers for things that have not yet happened in the anime. Number two, as always, just don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment your thoughts on today's headcanons, and also keep it respectful. Don't forget to follow me on social media as well, but let's get into it. First one we're reading is submitted by Eclipse210. Thank you for submitting. And they write, "We all know that Sanemi had a little crush on Kanae when she was alive. And Kanae was a very kind woman who pitied demons because many of them are tragic humans who were taken advantage of by Muzan. So for a while, Sanemi saw her point of view and began pitying demons as well. But after Kanae was killed, he doubled down on hating demons because if they were willing to kill someone who sympathized with them, they didn't deserve any sympathy at all." Okay, so I both agree and disagree with this statement. I'm just gonna get this out of the way right now. I don't agree with the first statement. I never have and I never will. I do not believe that Sanemi actually had a crush on Kanae. The only manga canon information that we have is that she actually reminds him of his mother. I think that he was a little bit more attached to her because she had that kind spirit that reminded him of his mother. I do not think there was any romance between the two of them. I do not even think that Sanemi understood what romance was. It's okay to ship them. This is not hate towards that ship. I know it's a very popular ship, and it's usually a ship that I would be kind of behind. But I think because so many people try and say that it's canon, it's kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. Gyome saying that Sanemi seems to enjoy spending time with her does not mean that he has a crush on her. It just means that Gyome noticed that he spends a lot of time with her. I think that is very possible that Kanae is a person that he felt more comfortable around and was willing to open up to a little bit more ever since his history with Masachika. But I don't think there was romance there. I don't think Sanemi was in a state at any time during the story where he could even remotely think about romance, or did he even know what it was? Because he was a mess the entire story. So I'm just going to throw that out there. It is okay to ship it. I just don't agree with stating things like it's canon that he had a crush on her, because I think we've just taken little things way out of context when it seems that, in my opinion, they just got along, that he just had a particular love for her in a way that he felt comfortable around her. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, the second half I think I do agree with it, because I think Sanemi as a character also, part of the reason why in the present story he's so angry and just so lacking of empathy and sympathy and just is like yelling and cracked out all the time is because what happened to him, it just happened over and over and over and over. And everything that happened to him was just bad thing after bad thing. You know, like his entire family was murdered except for Genya, but then Genya denounced him and they split up. And then he got close with Masachika. Masachika died. And then he got close with Kanae, and Kanae died. So by then, he was just so done that he couldn't feel the sympathy. But at the same time, I think that because he saw what can happen to a sympathetic person, he was like, I'm never going to show sympathy. I'm never going to show empathy. So I very much agree with that. And I think that's also why he hates Tanjiro so much, is that he has now gone through it with two people. Masachika had empathy. Kanae had empathy, and now he's seeing Tanjiro have empathy. I think part of the reason why he's so mean towards Tanjiro is partially because all he can see is Tanjiro dying because of the way he is. I could talk about Sanemi for ages. I think Sanemi is one of the best written characters in the show because Sanemi represents the other half of the coin that Tanjiro is on, because their backstories and what happened to them is very, very similar. It just shows what can happen if you go two separate directions with your feelings. So I do agree. I think that Kanae was the first person after Masachika's death that kind of allowed Sanemi to feel again, and seeing her get killed, even though she had that empathy. I mean, she was killed by this guy who, he's not going to care if you have empathy for him or not. He's not deserving of empathy. But, you know, it's a very complicated thing for him. And I do think that Kanae getting killed in this situation was just the final straw for him. He had twice tried to soften back up and feel again, and that was when he was just done. Because I do think he got close with her. I just don't agree that it was romance. That being said, again, you can ship it. I don't care. This is not me trying to come at anyone who says that. Like, please ship it. Please enjoy it. I'm totally fine with it. I just don't agree with that statement. I agree with everything else, though. So thank you for submitting. Okay, our next one comes from one of my members. Just a reminder, if you want to have priority reply in these videos, a guarantee I will read your comment if you join my channel membership at the Hashira level, which is just $5 a month. On top of getting a guaranteed response in a video, you also get priority reply in comments in general, and you get early access to all of my videos except for full reactions. Those go on Patreon instead early. You also get access to a fun badge, fun emojis, and I'm going to be starting to do some live streams soon. So if you are interested in that, check out the link in my description as well. But this is commented by Jenny, aka Rose, and they write, Muzan's downfall started when he turned Nezuko into a demon. Side note, love your profile picture. Hanji is my favorite character in Attack on Titan. So not only do I agree with this, I think this is legitimately canon. I think it's actually alluded to multiple times in the story. I believe Urokadaki mentions it at some point soon in the manga, like it's soon going to be animated, where he talks about how when he found the Kamado siblings, he felt like a cog in a machine had started to change and the machine had started to move, a machine that had been stagnant for hundreds of years. And Kagaya even alludes to it a little bit when he's talking to Muzan, when he tells Muzan that he stepped on the tiger's tail too many times and awoken the dragon. And then even in the anime, they kind of showed, in my opinion, the way they were depicting it was all the Hashira were the multiple steps, and then it kind of focused in on Tanjiro and Nezuko. Probably because they're the main characters, but also because I think they were alluding to the fact that that was the thing that awoke the dragon, was him going to the Kamado residence and killing the Kamados and turning Nezuko into a demon, because he went to the Kamado residence to turn someone into a demon that could withstand the sun so that he could absorb them and become immortal. That was the whole point of him going there. He had figured out that they were the ones who had sun breathing. He went there because he felt that the family that had sun breathing would be able to conquer the sun. He was not wrong, however, he had to leave because the sun was coming up and he didn't see the fact that Nezuko had actually gotten turned into a demon. He thought she was just dead. So, yes, I do agree this was the downfall, because not only did he create a demon that he had no idea what could have happened with her, he had no control over her, there were so many things that happened to her that he could not have predicted, but also he turned this fairly kind and fairly calm 13-year-old kid into a monster in his eyes, because Tanjiro was very chill and very just sweet, but Tanjiro, while he holds on to that, becomes a bit of a monster. He becomes so strong that without Tanjiro, they would not have been able to defeat Muzan. So yes, long story short, I'm beating around the bush. I'm ranting and I'm raving and I'm rambling, because that's what these videos are for. It's just my unscripted, completely raw thoughts, because I didn't even read these beforehand. Yes, this was the downfall. This was the start of the downfall of Muzan. If he had not touched the Kamado family, obviously there would be no story, but also he probably would have lived on for hundreds of years. Him choosing to go there was the start of the dragon being awoken and was what got them to the point where humanity could overtake him. So thank you for submitting. I definitely agree with that headcanon, and I think it's just straight up canon. Our next one is submitted by AnnieCootie1101, and they write, Mitsuri's character, given her enormous strength, on top of it being a long-range weapon, is well set up to fight in an environment flooded with threats on all sides. By that, I mean out of field of view, fast-moving, and incredibly threatening to any other Slayer. I wish we got to see this utilized in Infinity Castle. So if y'all have been watching me for a while, you know anytime someone says that Mitsuri is an underutilized character, I agree. If I have one issue with Demon Slayer, it is an issue of how little she was utilized. And we see, like, her strength and her long-range attack being so much stronger than what Tanjiro was able to do in the Swordsmith Village. I mean, honestly, when Zohakuten awoken all of those, like, dragons, Tanjiro was not cut out for it, even though at the point in Swordsmith Village, Tanjiro was getting quite strong at that point, and some would argue was very close to Hashira level, and yet he had no chance. None of them did. You know, Nezuko and Genya were also struggling, because they are not exactly long-range fighters. Mitsuri is, and she's the only one outside of maybe Gyome who is, because of her weapon and her fighting style. We saw that immediately when she went up against Zohakuten and was just, like, slaying, pun intended. I don't think any Slayers would ever be able to spar against her. I mean, I guess maybe that's why we didn't see her a lot in the Hashira training arc, is because we saw a lot of sparring between Hashiras, and I don't know if she can spar against them because her fighting style is so incredibly different than the rest. And I don't think anyone else could really fight against that because it's so different and it's so specific to her. Not to mention, can she even use a practice sword? Like, how would they make that out of wood? I do agree. I think that it would be threatening to any other Slayer because none of them are really built to fight that kind of attack. And then I do wish we had seen this utilized in Infinity Castle. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I wish that the fight against Nakime got a little bit more time and wasn't so, like, just a side thought, and I still feel like she should have been in the fight against Muzan for way longer. I feel like she was just completely underutilized and taken out of the fight way too soon. So I do wish, if I have one problem with the show that makes it not a 10 out of 10, but makes it a 9.5 out of 10, it is the utilization of Mitsuri just being kind of low. So I very much agree with this comment. Thank you so much for submitting. Our next one is from another one of my members. Thank you so much for submitting. So this comment comes from Orca KX2. And I'm going to just read the beginning of their comment because they said I could skip the rest. How canon this headcanon is debatable, but I like to think just before Obanai and Mitsuri die, Sanemi and Giyu meet them one last time. Obanai and Giyu make up, and Sanemi and Mitsuri make up, since Sanemi doesn't really like Mitsuri, according to the core records. This is a very wholesome theory that I like. I think it's possible for Sanemi to have made up with Mitsuri, because Sanemi did kind of almost, like, he was kind of crossing over into the afterlife, and then his dad was like, no, and kicked him back into the real world, which is crazy, by the way. So crazy. Only in anime. But I think that Giyu was, like, conscious the entire time, so I don't think Giyu would have been able to make up with Obanai, but I like the idea of that happening just because I feel like all the other strained relationships were made up, you know, Sanemi and Giyu, Sanemi and the Komodos, and that sort of thing, so I would like to have seen all of them make up as well, and just have it be, like, the end for them being finally, like, closed off, in my opinion. So I really, really like this. Like, I've never even thought about it because I know that Giyu was conscious the entire time, so I just have never thought about Giyu being able to make up with anyone that died, but maybe, you know, we just didn't see Giyu find Obanai at some point and say, you know, sorry for being unreadable or whatever, but I do really like this. I very much agree that they would have tried to make up, so thank you for submitting. Okay, this is going to be the last comment we read for this post. Again, if you did not get read through at some point during these videos, this is the final part 3. If I didn't read it, don't be discouraged. I will read your comments. I will have more opportunities. I just couldn't get through all of them in this series. This is from Kimberly-07DZ. And they write, remember the Shinomitsu chapter in the One-Winged Butterfly novel? Their interaction felt insanely romantic to me, and they even mentioned how they loved each other. I had canon that they were in love, but either didn't fully realize it themselves and thought that their feelings for each other were platonic, or that they knew, but they had to put their love aside because they just didn't have the time like Hashira work. Okay, so I'll be honest, I don't really agree. So I don't mind shipping Shinomitsu. I think that's totally okay. But I do always say that like Obamitsu was such a prevalent part of the story itself and of those characters. I think shipping them with anyone else is just not canon. Like there's no really canon to back up. But if you're saying this as a headcanon, as this post is a headcanon, I would say, like, go for it. I did feel like when I read it, like, man, like, they love each other. That's really, really cute, you know? But I never really read that as romantic. I read that more as, like, two friends saying they love each other, which I say to my girlfriends all the time. I don't have romantic feelings for them. So personally, I don't really ship it. It might be my second favorite ship for Mitsuri behind Obamitsu, so that's totally fine. But again, I say ship what you want to ship. I just don't think there's any canon evidence to back this up, and I also think that there is canon evidence to not back up the ship, but that doesn't mean you can't ship it. That just means enjoy it in whatever way you want to enjoy it, through fan fiction or whatnot. I just don't think that personally in that novel, that was really what they were trying to get at. I think they were just trying to get at the fact that they were like really close and that they had to bond because they were the only two girl Hashira. So there's like, they were close in that way. So don't really agree that it's a ship, but also love that they were depicted as being very close. I really enjoyed that. So thank you for submitting. Okay, but I think that's it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Again, this will be the last one for the headcanons, but I will be making more posts after I get back from Japan for some more interactive videos, so be on the lookout for that. But thank you so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment your thoughts on today's headcanons. Just as a reminder, keep it respectful as always. You can also follow me on social media at Hannah Malay on Instagram and at lookingnerdy on TikTok and X. With that, thank you so much for watching today's video, and as always, mata ne!